What's going on, everybody? Happy Monday. Thanks for joining here on the Prop Queen Pod. I'm the Prop Queen, Ariel Epstein. So much to get to today. We don't have that many NBA games, only 2 tonight, but there was a lot yesterday. Crazy finishes yesterday in the NBA. Major League Baseball, big slate yesterday. MLB, not that much of a game slate today. We've got a game on right now, Mets and Nationals. Also, some trends to watch in the NHL. Our friend Chris Meany talked about it on X today. He gave out some trends, so I'm going to share that with you guys. Great guests, Mid-Major Matt, as always, coming on the show. Going to talk some Major League Baseball props. There are a ton of Major League Baseball trends to keep an eye on, especially with strikeout props. Check out the newsletter. It's for free, the MLB Prop spreadsheet for the next 3 days. So you can subscribe and get access to that for free. Matt and I will explain a little bit of that today. In NBA, Kazeem Famuyide going to join the show. He is a friend of mine from PointsBet Fanatics, has a great podcast with Carmelo Anthony that is absolutely blowing up. So you should definitely check out 7 p.m. in Brooklyn. He's going to join the show like 5:30-ish. He said he might be a little late, so we'll buy some time. Got a lot of different trends, a lot of different props to get to from the weekend. But I'm going to start with this in the NBA. Hold on. This was insanity over the weekend. So I get the poll report thing. Obviously, in sports, we do the poll report, and you find out when there's like a call that should have been made, it wasn't made. It's annoying. I'm a Knicks fan, I guess. And yeah, the Knicks won this game to go up 3-1 in the series over the Pistons. It was a clear foul. Josh Hart should have been fouled. Why do we come out with this after the game? It doesn't change anything. It's not as if the NBA is coming back on the floor saying, we should have called that. Bring the players back on the floor. We're picking back up from that 10-second mark. That's not what's going to happen. Now you're just pissing off a fan base because you decided to say it's a no call and it should have been a call. Like, what does this do for anybody except validate your feelings? It just hurts your feelings even more if you're an NBA fan of the team that the no call was not called on. Pistons fans should be really annoyed. I don't blame them. So the Knicks get the win, but here's who got the even bigger win. BetMGM. They completely swept the propaganda props. The most bet on props at BetMGM for the Knicks-Pistons game. BetMGM swept you. The most bet on prop was Dennis Schroeder over 3.5 assists. He went under. Hardaway Jr. under 10.5 points. He went over. Jalen Duren under 11.5 rebounds. He went over. Cade Cunningham under 16.5 rebounds plus assists. Guess what? He went over. And then Karl Anthony Towns over 2.5 assists. Guess what? He went under. You just can't make it up. It's so funny. Now, here are some trends with these 5 props that I'm listing that you could keep a close eye on for the next game at the Garden. So that Dennis Schroeder over 3.5 assists that went under. Well, Schroeder hasn't had 4 or more assists yet in this series. Tim Hardaway Jr.'s under points. He's only gone under in 1 game. He had 14 or more in 3 of his 4 games in the series. Jalen Duren under 11.5 rebounds. He went over with 17 rebounds. He's at 500, 50-50 on the 11.5 boards. Cade Cunningham, the star of the Pistons. How the public bet under 16.5 rebounds plus assists, but he went over with 10 rebounds and 10 assists. Cunningham has gone over 16.5 rebounds plus assists in 3 of the 4 games. Karl Anthony Towns, he's gone under 2.5 assists in 3 of the 4 games this series. So, sorry, public, you got smashed in that game. Some more NBA trends to keep an eye on for, again, these games were yesterday, so you could keep an eye on these trends going forward. Well, actually, this was a close call one. These are the 2 most bet on props at BetMGM that were the closest calls. So KCP over 2.5 rebounds. He went under by a board. And Aaron Naismith under 4.5 rebounds. He went over by a board. Those were your close calls of the weekend. Some trending plays from this weekend. So in the Lakers T-Wolves series, Rudy Gobert under 7.5 points. It's gone under in all 4 games so far. He's had 5, 1, and 6, 5, 1, 6, and 2 points in the 4 games this year. Series. Julius Randle, under 12.5 rebounds plus assists, has also hit in all 4 games of this series. He's had either 9 or 10 rebounds plus assists so far. So these are some good trends to know for the series with the Lakers and the T-Wolves. And currently that series is Timberwolves up 3-1. Another trending prop, whatever. Porzingis, under 6.5 rebounds in 3 of 4 games. He's gone under 6.5 in 3 of 4. Everyone bet him yesterday over 6.5 rebounds. He still went under with 5. Derek White, he's gone over 4.5 assists in 3 straight games in this series. When I left off, Jason Tatum, double-double in 3 games that he's played. He's had a double-double in 2 of the 3. That was at plus 100 yesterday. That cashed easy with 37 points and 14 rebounds for Jason Tatum. Pacers Bucks. Aaron Nesmith has gone over 4.5 rebounds in 3 of 4 games. But here's what you got to know. Bucks star Damian Lillard, torn left Achilles tendon, announced today, so he's going to be out for the rest of the season. I'm going to put this in the Prop Queen newsletter when these two play next, which is tomorrow. Nope, they play. Where's that over? What am I doing? I'm trying to figure. No, they play tomorrow. Okay, I missed it. Milwaukee at Indiana tomorrow, 6 p.m. Indiana leads the series 3-1. What's important to note about this series, so Milwaukee without Dame Lillard, Giannis is averaging 28 points, just under 10 rebounds, and 4.5 assists. Giannis points is where they're going to focus because Giannis on the boards, that really dips off a lot when Dame's out. Kyle Kuzma, he's averaging just under 19 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists without Dame. Lopez, I know you guys aren't going to retain this. Just remember, I'm going to post this tomorrow on the show, and I'm also going to put it in the Prop Queen newsletter. But games without Dame, Giannis points. Don't look at his rebounds. It drops once Dame is out. So those are the things from the NBA that you definitely had to know. I'm just making sure I got to everything before I bring Matt in. Yeah. So no Dame the rest of the series. And here's just an update on the NBA series. So tonight, you've got the Cavs taking on the Heat. The Cavs are up 3-0 in the series. Houston is at Golden State tonight. Golden State leads the series 2-1. And Jimmy Butler is going to play tonight. He participated in shoot-around. The groin injury seems like he's going to play. So that's the problem with betting the NBA sometimes. You just don't know all the time in the morning who's going to play and who's not, even in the playoffs. So much fun. Miami's just completely crapping the bed. So the teams that have potential to clinch, Cleveland has potential to clinch tonight. Indiana has the potential to clinch tomorrow. The Knicks have potential to clinch tomorrow. Boston has potential to clinch tomorrow as well. And for everyone that came on this show and talked about how the Nuggets and Clippers could probably go to 7, you probably were right because that series is currently tied at 2 apiece. I've heard multiple people now say that they felt that the Nuggets, and we even had on Jay Money at the beginning of this series, who said the Nuggets front office was just mailing this in ever since they fired head coach Mike Malone. And even though they, of course, are tied at 2, the fact that the line flipped in favor of the Clippers is crazy. Anyway, the craziest part to me was obviously this. This was my funniest part of yesterday, how the most bet on props at BetMGM, the book just absolutely swept all the public. You'll love to see it. Someone who loves to be contrarian to the public, someone who I can fight with in the mornings at like 8 a.m. because I'm like, argh. But we did not agree on any strikeout props today, which made me really, really annoyed. It's a big day, though, and he had to come on the show, even though his card is a little light. Mid-Major Matt, happy Patrick Corbin Day.
Happy Patrick Corbin Day. And Jimmy Butler would play if his arm was falling off. That dude is so tough and so awesome. I miss Jimmy Butler desperately because he was a Sixer briefly, and we were really good with him. And then we decided to keep Tobias Harris instead.
Your Sixers. It wouldn't have mattered. Just the injury bug and then the bad energy. It's bad juju over there.
Cooper Flagg's going to save it though. We're going to win the lottery, and we're going to bring in Cooper Flagg, and then he'll get injured a lot, and yeah, we'll probably still be bad.
What would you say over the weekend in Major League Baseball stood out to you?
Sean's right in the YouTube chat. That Tarek Skubal line was incredibly off, and I wish I put a lot more on it. Skubal's line was 6.5 on Sunday, and it was the Orioles coming off a double header, putting in, here's a tip for everybody. The Orioles like to use these surrender lineups on Sundays, whether they're winning or losing. And so you had a bad Orioles lineup off a double header against Tarek Skubal, and they already can't hit lefties. And the number was 6.5, and the juice was relatively reasonable. But even so, it was like minus 140 something, 145, maybe pushing a little higher.
I mean, the Orioles are 8-1 over their K prop this year against lefties.
Yeah, it was incredible. It was absolutely incredible. And then along the same lines on Sunday, Zach Littell was 4.5 versus the Padres on FanDuel. DraftKings had a 3.5 smartly, and FanDuel had a 4.5 on Sunday. So I know you sat out Sunday, but you missed a couple of gifts from the sports books.
That's crazy that Skubal was 6.5. I can't believe it. I had to take one day to not handicap games because 6 days a week of baseball is so much. And you said to me yesterday, I really wish that I wouldn't have to play any games today, but you did. And I guess it worked out for you because you ended the week last week really annoyed.
Yeah. I had 2 really bad days in a row. The Quantrill stuff did not work out, although we did get over the hits allowed eventually. I was watching the game cast of the game, and I'm like, is this serious? Like, the Seattle kept going 1-2-3, 1-2-3, and then they started striking out against the guy. I was like, what is going on? So I took Saturday off. And I said I was going to take Sunday off, but I had to put the numbers in the spreadsheet. And when I put the numbers in the spreadsheet, that means I'm looking at this stuff. And I saw Littell at 4.5 against San Diego. I'm like, I got to play that. And then I saw Skubal over 6.5 against Baltimore. I'm like, I got to play that. But, that's the key. When you're not running well, if you just get away from the sport, because what is it? It's 170 days of betting. If you bet every day, you can miss a day or two and clear your head and then kind of see things a little bit clearer coming back.
Especially when you get stuck on certain trends and teams. Like, we were really loving that A's under for a while, and then it starts to lose. And now we saw the Angels. That trend is still going strong, which I posted about today. That you mentioned it on Friday, Matt. 15 of the last 16 righties to face the Angels have gone over.
Yeah, the Angels are striking out a ton, and I'll be interested to see who Seattle throws. I know Wu is probably going the second game of the series, but this is a team that's just striking out. They've gone under their K-prop once since April 11th. There was one game where, depending upon what number you got him, Lodzinski, you might have gone under because there were some 4.5s out there and he had 4. But once since April 10th, and you wouldn't notice this sort of stuff without the spreadsheet. Like, I know we talk about the spreadsheet quite a bit, but it's amazing, and it shows you things that you never would realize unless you're kind of looking at this sort of thing on a piece of paper.
There are some teams, as we mentioned, like the Orioles, 8-1 to the over, averaging 7.5 strikeouts a game against lefty starters. There are other teams that, like Arizona, only one lefty has gone over against the Diamondbacks this year out of the 7 that they've faced. There are a lot of other, like Seattle also 8-1 to the over, averaging 7 strikeouts a game against lefties. So those lefty-righty splits matter, what really can help you win some money.
Yeah. And it's finding the teams that you know and staying away from the teams that you still don't have an idea on yet. And look, we're 20, 25 games in. There's enough data points here that you could kind of start to get some trends. But it's funny, for those of you who do have the spreadsheet, you'll notice there's certain teams that Ariel and I haven't even played any K-props with yet because we just don't know.
Or that we lose a lot on.
Yeah, unfortunately, yes. We do have some bad records.
The Phillies suck.
Yes, we're both 0-2 on the Phillies. And the irony is we didn't agree on any of them. We've made 4 separate picks.
We are 0-4 betting the stupid Phillies.
Exactly. Yes. I'm going to stay away from them as much as possible. But like, it's just one of those things where visually seeing some things, it's like the Giants. The Giants have been tough for me to figure out. You've had a better record with them so far this year, but like, there's just certain teams that I'm going to attack more. The Nationals, I'm starting to get back onto the Nationals like I did last year a lot. So it's just finding the teams that you have a good grasp on and just kind of riding that trend over and over and over again.
Let's talk about what you like today. It's Patrick Corbin Day, so you're naturally fading him. Matt, I was nervous. We talk about these back-to-back starts where a pitcher is starting against the same team in back-to-back starts. I typically do not like to bet those spots, whether it's the pitcher getting more familiar, the hitter getting more familiar. It just scares me. Why are you going back to Corbin under 4.5 Ks for the second straight matchup?
So it's funny because I was like you, and I think I was more than like you than last year with regards to these back-to-backs. I wouldn't even look at the games, but I've started to kind of look. I think there was one earlier in the year with the White Sox with Sean Burke, and he faced, I think, the Red Sox in back-to-back starts. And I'm like, well, what's the guy going to have the second time around that he didn't show in the first time? And I'm looking at Patrick Corbin, and I'm like, Patrick Corbin, what is his arsenal in terms of his pitches? And he made it, a decent amount in that first start. What did he hold back that the Athletics are not going to see this second time? The one thing that kind of worried me a little bit, and I mentioned it on Twitter, the bullpen guys for the Texas Rangers the last couple nights have been used. I think it's like 2 of the last 3 nights or 3 of the last 5 nights or something like that. So they're going to need Corbin to eat some innings potentially. And that means he could, much like I always talk about spread hits allowed out, he could spread strikeouts out allowed. So it is a worrisome bet here, and I couldn't decide what I wanted to do. The better bet was probably the over 5.5 hits allowed, or heck, even the outs potentially if that bullpen situation comes true. But I'm going to take a chance here. The A's have been kind of all over the place against lefties, sometimes good, sometimes bad. But I just don't know what Patrick Corbin has in terms of stuff that he didn't show the first time. So I think the A's should be able to get a better beat on him.
Yeah, I guess you can knock him out early so we could hit the under, as opposed to just the fact he can't get swing and miss. It's fade Patrick Corbin Day. So again, eventually Patrick Corbin's going to find out about this, and I'm going to end up probably like getting in trouble or something. But anyway, gamblers, we got to celebrate certain days. Ronel Blanco, we agree here, actually, under 2.5 earned runs. This is going to be featured in Fishy Lines. So you might help me here a little bit more with my Fishy Lines explanation. Why Blanco under 2.5 earned runs?
So when you look at Detroit here on the road against right-handed starting pitchers, they have actually struggled to score. You go all the way back to that first series with the Dodgers. Yamamoto and Sasaki both held them to 2 runs in those games. The Seattle series, they did hit up Emerson Hancock, and Gilbert had 3, but Castillo had 2. And then you go to that Minnesota series. Festa had 1, Paddock had 2, and Woods Richardson had 1. And then you go to that Milwaukee series where Quinn Priester, who hasn't been that great, he held them to 0 runs. And so this is a trend that I kind of looked at here and saw that away from Detroit, the Tigers against right-handed starting pitchers have just been a little bit worse in terms of that statistic. I like Blanco here. He's a better pitcher at home in this sort of situation. He had very good numbers against Detroit last year. Remember, he pitched out of the bullpen against them last year and was really good against them. So I'm going to take a shot here on the under 2.5. The juice is a little heavy. I don't like that, but I do like the fact that we're getting under 2.5. And of course, if there's errors, then those runs don't count against us.
You know that the Tigers are kind of like the Mets were when they had Jacob deGrom on the mound. The Tigers can't score when Flaherty's starting. It's been 2 straight shutouts. The Tigers have been shut out in 2 straight Flaherty starts. He has not won because the Tigers can't score when he's pitching.
Well, you figure a lot of times, too, the opponent is probably going to be a solid starting pitcher. And he's been pitching well. I mean, he gave up 2 runs against the Padres. He gave up 3 against Milwaukee. Those are 2 teams that if you're going to be able to hold them down. And plus, he had a week off, essentially, between the 2 starts. And he's had 6 days. This is his 6th day, I think. So they're giving him extra rest, which means he should be better in this sort of situation. Maybe this is a lower scoring game between the 2 of them.
Yeah, that total, let me see the total for that game. The total for Houston, Detroit is 7.5. So typically 7.5s according to some like researcher I spoke to years ago, he said 7.5s tend to go under. I don't know the numbers on that, but it is one of those sports book plays of we think this is going to be lower scoring game.
Well, and if you look, Flaherty's good the first 2 times through the order. Blanco is really good the first time through the order, not so much the second time through the order. So it could be a first 3 under. If you want to take a look at that, I'm guessing you won't get a 2.5 though, which kind of stinks. But if you like these 2 starters and you don't want to be involved with the bullpens, I would think an under 5 or an under 3 might be a decent play here.
So I'm gonna throw up here. Oh wait. I have to get rid of some things. StreamYard only lets you put 10 like graphics in at a time, and I have like 20. So I'm going to show you my long list, Matt, and then we can discuss some of these together. We both said Gavin Williams under 5.5 strikeouts had decent value, right? Or did you like the over?
No, I didn't. Gavin Williams has been tough. I think I lost once or twice with him. He's been all over the place. He did pitch well against your Yankees. I think that was maybe personal. Maybe he meant to do that just to hurt you or something in that sort of situation. But he had really good numbers against the Twins last year. He had 7 strikeouts at home against the Twins in 5 innings. He wasn't as good in Minnesota, but he's a better pitcher at home. So that kind of worried me a little bit.
Yeah, I was torn on Gavin because this year his strikeout numbers haven't been great, but last season he got to 6 a few times. It's going to be like one of those 6 or like 4. Like Gavin gets into a lot of jams, but we'll see on him. I mentioned Ronel Blanco under 5.5 Ks. That's just a matchup thing. The Tigers are one of those teams, Matt, that last year struck out a lot against righties. This year, not striking out very much, and I don't feel the book has really caught on yet.
Yeah, they still do strike out a little bit against the better pitchers, and it was weird that Brandon Young had 6 strikeouts and 4 2/3 against the Tigers. You got lucky on your Pivetta under because it was 6.5. He had 6, so I think that's part of the thing too.
It was a little too high. It was a little too high.
You were right, and you nailed it there. And the thing that we've talked about with some of these teams is looking at how many good pitchers and legit pitchers they've faced to see how much of that is soft numbers. And so how much of that is actual, like they've done really well making contact against good pitchers. But that's something you kind of want to watch here that you also notice only because of the spreadsheet, because we list all the starting pitchers there.
No, it's true. It's something that I definitely can be at fault at doing when I look at the spreadsheet. I will look at just the numbers and the averages and see how these lineups have been doing without checking the pitchers' names. Those pitcher names are very important. Especially, I mean, maybe like in a month from now when we have so many, but you do want to look at some of the pitchers that are equivalent at the same level to the pitcher that you're looking at the strikeout prop for. Sean Michaels saying first 5 under at Hard Rocks plus 110 for the Astros and Tigers.
That might be worth a sprinkle at plus 110. The problem is that Blanco's not as strong the second time through the order. That's why I'm kind of looking at the first 3. Ideally, you get everybody one time through the order, and that's why I kind of like the first 3. But then again, I'm guessing it's 1.5, and I kind of hate 1.5s because 1 2-run homer you lose. But both these pitchers are very good at least the first time through the order.
Your first 3 inning bets. I've done it a little bit. It's scary stuff. That first 3 is scary.
Well, I mean, it depends because, maybe early wind is blowing out and then it's later on as the game, or maybe there's shadows. And so the shadows help the pitchers more than the hitters. So it's just, I mean, look, it's spot times. It's like certain situations you look to take a look at. I saw on Twitter, everybody's playing the A's over 2.5 runs the first 5 innings against Corbin. So in right situations, first 3s and first 5s are the perfect thing to take a look at.
That's fair. Do you look at umpires?
So we look at everything but umpires. I think, look, Sean, that's good that you look at the umpires. I look at the weather and I'm looking at, I look at too many markets to look at the umpires because, that's why when you message me, I'm like, it takes longer for me to get back to you because I'm looking at the strikeouts and I'm looking at the outs and the earned runs and the hits allowed and all these other markets and everything. And I'm looking at the weather and I'm looking at this website called.
You have to rule out something that you don't need to look at.
Well, maybe. I use this website called Pitcher List that talks about all the pitchers, and they do these little write-ups after every start of every pitcher, what works, what doesn't work, what they think about the next start, and things like that. So I like looking at that to see what the blurbs are for some of the pitchers that are going that day. So I have so many websites open, and plus, don't the umpires not come out until later on in the day? I feel like you have to get the best value, and you can't wait necessarily for the umpires to play it.
Yeah, that's what Jessica was saying. She said she includes the umpire profiles for K-props, totals, and a bunch of elements, but sometimes it's hard when it's a late announcement, especially when knowing who's going to be behind the plate. I love that you talked Jack Cup into the 3-inning bet.
So here's the worst part of baseball that I think, Ariel. We just talked about all the numbers, and then look, the numbers for Ronel Blanco and Flaherty the first time through the order are tremendous. They're both very good the first time through the order, but somebody could hit a 3-run homer and the bet could lose. That's the frustrating thing of baseball here is we make a lot of logical bets, but illogical things happen on the field, and then we lose those logical bets.
I'm telling you, though, it's why the sport is so amazing to bet, because when I was talking to Yanni the Greek, who you know from over at Wager Talk, Yanni was saying the books absolutely hate booking baseball. They love booking NFL. They'll take all your money. You want to give them $100K to go bet something in the NFL? They'll take your money. Baseball, they're like, what do you know that I don't know? There are so many edges, and I feel like the spreadsheet really does help with finding those edges. And this is what Matt is looking at for today's slate, in case anyone's just tuning in. It is Fade Patrick Corbin Day, under 4.5 Ks. Ronel Blanco, under 2.5 earned runs. I do side with you on both of them. I just can't get to the window on Corbin for the second straight. I'm lucky enough to win it the first time. I don't need to get greedy.
By the way, the other thing here is neither of these bets are large bets. I hate betting on Monday anyway, because Monday, we get weird situations. Teams are traveling to new places potentially. I don't do my best work on Monday. Plus, the card's not necessarily full. So if you are doing this and you don't follow me on Twitter at MidMajorMatt, where I put my unit sizes, neither of these bets are large, and both of them are skippable if you don't agree with them. So usually I come on the show and I'm like, I love this, I love this, I love this. But like, these are just like, if you need something on a Monday, this is where I would put pizza money on.
Short slate of games today. It's okay. Mid-Major Matt, thank you as always for coming on the show. You're the best, and thank you for being the best at the strikeout prop spreadsheet. Well, it's like an everything spreadsheet now, but I'm still so used to saying the strikeout prop spreadsheet. Good luck, and hopefully we do cash on Fade Patrick Corbin Day and the Houston Astros.
Excellent. I will see you on Friday.
Sounds good, Matt. I should tell Matt that there's no show on Friday. I should tell all of you it's a 3-day week for me. I am going away with my family for a long weekend. So apologies that I'm not going to be around for Thursday, Friday, or Monday. But Thursday, I should be able to get a newsletter out at least. But then I'm taking a few days to go sit at a beach. I need a beach. Anyway, what do I have? Oh, I didn't get to this yet. Shot attempts leaders in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Thank you to Chris Meany, who came on the show last week. Definitely everyone give him a follow. Shot attempt leaders. This is your list. I tell you guys, I don't even try to pronounce these names. So take this list for what it is. Go give Chris Meany a follow. It's good for knowing for props for the Stanley Cup playoffs for shot attempts, because it's my favorite market in the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. It is my favorite market in hockey. I wish we had like certain attempts props in baseball or in like, I don't know. I love attempt props. I love pass attempt props in the NFL too. Kazeem's going to come on in a little bit. He was running a bit late, so we'll talk some Knicks with him. But I do have some propaganda, K-props, Fishy Lines. Start with some NBA propaganda. These are your most bet on props for tonight in game 1 between the Cavs and the Heat. Donovan Mitchell under rebounds, Davion Mitchell over points and assists, Davion Mitchell over 11.5 points, Nikola Jovic under 4.5 rebounds, Tyler Hero over 24.5 points. So those are your most bet on props tonight for the Cavs and Heat game, where the Cavs are up 3-0 on the series and looking to sweep the Heat, which would be crazy. More propaganda. This is for the late game between the Warriors and the Rockets. So the public's loving Jimmy Butler. They don't care that he's hurt. Over 19.5 points. Pods under 5.5 boards, which is interesting because Pods is a good defender. I should have checked all these trends and seen how many they've gone over or under so far, but it's only a 3-game sample size anyway. Steph Curry under 10.5 rebounds plus assists is interesting. I'll tell you why in a sec. Fred VanVleet under 17.5 points plus rebounds, and Steph Curry over 27.5 points tonight. So I'll tell you what's interesting. So Jessica Brand wrote in the Prop Queen newsletter this morning, and she was talking about her favorite prop today, which is Steph Curry over his assists. And let me see. I could get her part of the article up. Let's see if I can get this up real quick. Yeah. Oh, Jessica, I disagree with the BetMGM bettors there. Yeah, it's a mess. Remember, they just struck out against BetMGM over the weekend. Okay, so here's Jessica's article in the Prop Queen newsletter, which will also come out again this afternoon. But Jessica this was all with her even thinking about the Jimmy Butler playing in the game. And she says that Steph should be the one to dish the ball out. We consider this, let's see, where was your main argument? So if Jimmy Butler's playing, then some bettors are going to look for Jimmy Butler. Someone's got to look for Jimmy Butler to score. And who would you expect to make those passes over Curry? Nobody. It's Curry. Secondly, it's notable that we get this good price for Curry at home, which is true. And if the public does like Jimmy Butler over points, somebody has to dish the ball out to him. So Jessica says this has moved a lot in his favor. Minus 130 for Steph in most places to go over his assist. And Daniel says, good take, Jessica. Butler stays healthy. That's hitting. Yeah, so hopefully we got a good number there. So those are your most bet on props for tonight's games, according to BetMGM. There were some for baseball, but I didn't make a graphic board. There are 2 fishy lines today. You're going to think I'm absolutely insane for one of them. And I apologize in advance, but I'm going to tell you how you can bet this fishy line in a smarter way. Fishy lines. The first fishy line's not as crazy. The first fishy line of the day is Detroit and Houston, which Mid-Major Matt and I were talking about before. This line has moved, and it's not like the fishiest line ever because 50% of money is split, but the bets, at least majority, is on Jack Flaherty in Houston. So, of course, the public's going to love Jack Flaherty. He's the big name. He's been pitching well. However, the Tigers just do not score with Flaherty on the mound. As I mentioned with Mid-Major Matt earlier, it's like Jacob deGrom when he was on the Mets. The Tigers have been shut out in back-to-back Flaherty starts, and they've scored a total of 3 runs in Flaherty's last 3 starts. All those were losses. The Astros, they finally broke through with a 7-3 win. Their offense shined finally yesterday against the Royals. The Astros righty, Ronel Blanco, he's been pitching better at home. Outside of his one bad start, he's a 3.74 ERA. Blanco threw 7 no-hit innings in his only career start against the Tigers, by the way. That was last June. And his last 2 home starts, Blanco's only allowed a maximum of 2 runs. Houston's bullpen's also much more rested. So you could take a look at the Houston Astros on the money line tonight as a fishy line at home. This next one is definitely the crazy one. It scares me. And you're okay. Fishy line. Dodgers. This happens like every day though, so we got to watch this. You have to watch if there's buyback. This is what's been happening all season is that we're seeing the Dodgers get bet down from $3 to like $2.50. Then they buy it back. So far, there's been no buyback, which sometimes at this point in the day there is. but it's still minus 275. So this was a pretty big move against the Dodgers. The public is obviously on the Dodgers. I mean, it is the most public side of the day. Yet the most public side of the day has the line moving against them. That is so fishy. Edward Cabrera has a terrible ERA against the Dodgers. It's like a 22. So what do the Sharps know? Well, Miami is averaging just over 4 runs a road game this year. The Dodgers are allowing just over 4 runs a home game this year to their opponents. Dustin May is going to have to go relatively deep. His outs props 18.5. The Dodgers bullpen, not rested. Dodgers have to throw a bullpen game tomorrow. There's a chance they let May get third time through the lineup, and Miami could hit him by then. The way to play it would probably be the Marlins team total over 3.5 runs. It's around plus 120, so you get really good value on it. Maybe Marlins run line, but honestly, like that's plus 110. They're going to have to score runs to win this game. It's not going to be a pitcher's duel with Cabrera. It's also somewhat of a revenge spot. Now, it's a matter of how much the Marlins actually really want to play for this. I don't know the dynamics in the Marlins dugout. But Clayton McCullough is the manager of the Marlins this year. It's his first year as the skipper. He was a coach with the Dodgers for the last 10 years. The first base coach of the Dodgers last year. McCullough's getting a World Series ring tonight, playing in LA. Finally, he gets his ring. Maybe the Marlins play for McCullough tonight. Either way, team total over 3.5 runs. The averages are all there. The Marlins bats have been good. I don't really trust Dustin May too much. And if he gets third time through the lineup, which against the Marlins, the Dodgers may not be afraid to stretch him out a little bit, which they did in his last start. Yeah, I'd play at Marlins team total over for a little bit more value at plus 120. But you could play the run line too if you're feeling like extra frisky. Plus 1.5 was at plus 110. Thank you. See, it's not that crazy. Okay. I was feeling bad about giving that out. I was really nervous to give that out to you guys. K props to watch. So this was in the newsletter this morning. Some of these are part of Royal Locks, but I'll just go through all these now as we wait for Kaz to hopefully pop in, and I'll give him a little bit more time. So getting through everything we normally get through later on in the show. The K props to watch today. This one pains me because if you guys have been following me for a while, you know that Gavin Williams is someone I covered when he was a freshman in college. Covered him through his college career. Big fan of Big Gav. His under 5.5 Ks at plus 105 was somewhat intriguing. It's a good price. Righty starters, the trend that you can see on the strikeout prop spreadsheet at thepropqueen.com. 6 and 17 over under. So 17 of 18, 19, 22, 23, 17 of 23 righties to face them have gone under their strikeout prop against the Twins. They're averaging about 4 strikeouts a game. Gavin Williams has faced 2 low K rate teams this year. The Royals, he had 2 in 5 innings. The Orioles, he had 4 in 6 2/3. Williams gets into some jams. He gets out of them, but he could throw some pitches because he gets into some jams. He's got great stuff, but this number at 5.5 against a Twin team that's not striking out that much just seems a little bit too high. Some other ones, Nick Martinez under 4.5 Ks. Martinez does not get much swing and miss. In fact, his lone start against the low K rate team this season, he had 4 strikeouts in 4 2/3 innings against the Mariners. And last year, Martinez went over 4.5 Ks one time in 5 starts against a low K rate team. In his career against the Cardinals, Martinez 0-2 with a 3.72 ERA through 7 appearances. Righties averaging just over 4 strikeouts against St. Louis. So I would take that one under as a lean. The other 2 I'll get to a little bit later into the show. But finally, my great friend, who at this point should have gone to Syracuse University with all the Syracuse people that he thinks that he's going to work with. We're going to make him an honorary member of the Syracuse community. Kazeem Famuyide joining the show. Thank you for
Ariel, I miss your face so much, man. It's good seeing you. I do appreciate all the orange love you throw my way.
No, I'm loving that podcast with Carmelo Anthony, 7 p.m. in Brooklyn, is blowing up. I see it everywhere.
It's insane. It's been so much fun. It's been such a blessing. And it's like Carmelo Anthony was like my favorite basketball player. Like when I was still trying to convince myself I had a future in playing basketball. So being able to like talk shop with him, especially now when he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, well, going to be in Springfield when he's getting enshrined, and like just being able to help tell some of the most incredible basketball stories I think you can ever hear on a weekly basis. I'm way too lucky to be in that chair, and I'm
How
having
did
so
that
much
show?
fun.
How did that happen?
I mean, I've always had a great relationship with the team at Wave, and you know, my guy TD, EJ, obviously Pierce Simpson, everybody over there. They've always held me in pretty high regard when they've been pitching these shows. Even when Wave really started, as you know, before even the Kelsey podcast started. You know, I had an idea that they were getting into content, so I had lots of conversations with them earlier in the ideation of a lot of other shows that ended up, you know, being created, but never really panned out. And then just so happens that when Melo came back from the Olympics this past summer, they wanted to do a special episode where we just kind of talked to Melo about his experience down there, and we all just hit it off so greatly just as a guest. I came back on for some guest episodes in the second half of the first season, and then once the season was over, they were like, you know, let's just make this a permanent thing, and here we
That's
are,
so
all these episodes
cool. You've
later.
had some
Yeah.
awesome guests too. I mean, Spike Lee's come on. I saw that you also had on what's his name from Curb Your Enthusiasm, who I
JB
love.
Smooth, JB
Yes,
Smooth, Leon, yeah.
Leon.
Yeah,
Absolutely
he was just
love
all
them.
awesome. Yeah, that's the thing about the show, right? It's like most of the time you could go in there and get some like incredible basketball stories. Like when we had Amon Shumpert on, I thought that was really fun. Having Dwayne Wade on, I thought was like a bucket list like episode for me, because those were like literally my two favorite basketball players growing up. But what I really get a kick out of is those episodes with like, you know, JB Smooth and Spike Lee, and you know, these comedians and just people from all different walks of life that are also fans of Mellows, but like also have this connection to pop culture, and we're all just like in this mutual admiration society, just like talking shop. It's the most fun I've had doing literally anything in my career. It's a blast, man.
It
Thank
looks
you.
it.
Thank
And
you.
speaking of fun, that was definitely somewhat last night or yesterday with the Knicks and the Pistons. The Knicks get the win, Heart Attack City. Yet, Kaz, it is so annoying when the NBA comes out after on the pool report. Like, I know you're a Knicks guy, but it is so annoying if you're on the other side of that when the pool report says we should have called a foul. Why don't we just get rid of the stupid pool report?
I think we should at this point, right? Like it's really only there to incite anger at this point, right? Because what can you do after it's all said and done, right? Let's think about it.
Throwing them back on the floor with 10 seconds left.
All right, see, you know what? If you do that though, right, then you know we got to look back at that play before it even gets kicked out after Kate Cunningham missed his shot. By the way, let's keep that in mind. They did have a chance to win it. He missed his shot. Tobias Harris pretty much headlocks Josh Hart underneath the basketball hoop, so he couldn't even get the rebound. So that's how they even get a chance to get it over to Tim Hardaway Jr. And let's not even talk about the fact that the Knicks were up heavy double digits going into the third quarter, and the referees just decided, you know what, basketball isn't fun right now. We're gonna play football, and the Pistons just literally back and forth, just no call. And granted, they called it the same way both ways. There was just no whistles being blown for anybody. And for all of those, well, the Knicks are floppers and Jalen Brunson is a foul merchant and all that type of stuff. 2 free throws, Ariel. 2 whole free throws for this foul merchant that you keep calling Jalen Brunson. All I saw was nothing but ethical hoops, quality buckets in crunch time. And I love me some Cade Cunningham. He's going to be here for a while, but I'm not going up against the guy who time and time again has proven in the playoffs he's going to play his best basketball, and that's Jalen Brunson, and apparently Karl Anthony Towns now. So sorry, not sorry.
Right there.
I'll see you at the 2-minute report.
It was old school basketball yesterday for sure. It was a foul though on Josh Hart.
It was. You know what? Who does not give a damn? This guy.
Are you going to the game tomorrow at the Garden?
Am I going to the game tomorrow at the Garden? Ariel, I was
It's
at
gonna be
WrestleMania.
insane.
I was at WrestleMania and I missed the first 2 home games. There is no way in hell I'm missing a potential closeout game in the Garden. I will definitely be in the building for that.
I saw when I was looking, it's about $450 to get into the Garden as of yesterday. I feel for Knicks fans, it's if you're a big Knicks fan, that's the game you go to. I'm not confident that they could beat the Celtics.
I'm not even talking about why we got to worry about the Celtics right now. We still have the Detroit Pistons in front of us. I'm not one of those people that's gonna be like, all right, series is over. This could very much go to 6 games if they win tomorrow.
Superstitious?
I'm very superstitious, 1000%. I
Me
have
too.
full confidence. I have full confidence that the Knicks close it out, but far be it from me to think that the series is over. You win tomorrow, you go back to Detroit after a game that is called that controversially, and you expect to have a friendly whistle back there. Anything could happen back then, and we could be back here in New York for Game 7 where anything could happen. And we've already seen, I don't know how many Senzu beans or James and the Giant Beanstalk or Jack and the Giant Beanstalk stuff we got to give Jalen Brunson to stay out of the locker room, but I'd rather just handle business tomorrow, and then we'll worry about Boston or Orlando when we cross that bridge.
Spoken like a true head coach. Kaz, tonight we've got a chance to see a sweep with the Cavs up 3-0 over the Heat. How surprised are you with how flat this Heat team's looked?
I'm not surprised at all. They've been flat this entire year. Granted, Tyler Hero's had a career year for himself, all-star season, but they've been sort of snake bitten since the beginning of the year. I think we all knew Jimmy Butler was not trying to be a part of this team, and moreover than not being part of this team, he was damn near a disruptant to this team. So now you make a big monster trade, in the middle of the year for pieces, which is headlined by really Andrew Wiggins. And the Cleveland Cavaliers have been one of the best teams in the NBA all season long. I don't think they're going to win a championship this year, but do I think they were good enough to absolutely dog walk a Miami Heat team who is still trying to figure out who they are after a big trade like a Jimmy Butler? Yeah. They're doing exactly what they should be doing. And it's more than just the star players too, man. The Cleveland Cavaliers got guys like Ty Jerome and DeAndre Hunter and just dudes off the bench that can also give you 15 or 20 points and also play some great defense as well. And I love Kenny Atkinson, man. Former Knicks assistant, was great for the Brooklyn Nets, was a great assistant for the Golden State Warriors. He's probably going to be coach of the year this year. So I'm not surprised at all. The Heat just sort of run into a buzzsaw. And, that's the best thing about being in South Beach. They don't got to go far when the game is over. They can just go right down the street and hit Fat Tuesdays and start their summer early.
I'm not going to ask you about the Eastern Conference because that would require you to answer about the Knicks. I'm going to go to the Western Conference where things are very weird. And I think we kind of knew that the Western Conference was going to get real weird this year. You got a young OKC team who's favored to win the conference, but they're young and inexperienced, up against the Lakers, the Warriors, who are experienced. The Lakers, they're not looking like a LeBron team at the moment. Minnesota is embarrassing them to a degree in regards to late game heroics. Thoughts on the Western Conference? And then, of course, you have the Clippers and Nuggets playing.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I picked the Minnesota Timberwolves. This was my upset pick going into the NBA.
You faded LeBron?
I did. I mean, listen, Anthony Edwards these are the moments that make faces of the league. These are the moments that make stars in not just the NBA, but across the sports world. And when you get a chance to not just take out LeBron, but Luka as well, you have at it. And not to say anything against Luka and LeBron, they were both spectacular yesterday, but you have to understand that the Lakers, when they didn't make that Mark Williams trade, when Jackson Hayes wasn't exactly who they expected him to be, that inside was going to be food all day long. And I kept telling people, stop this, and this is my Knicks bias jumping in again, don't disrespect Julius Randle. When he's healthy, he is a problem down there, and he's going to get LeBron James having to play both sides of the ball. And at the similar height, similar athleticism, he absolutely showed that yesterday. And then when it was money time, man, Anthony Edwards was absolutely special. And not only was he special, he was letting you know about it, which I personally love. And granted, I'm a LeBron James fan. I know,
I'm
put him as my GOAT. I'll put him as my GOAT and all these conversations. And I think once it's all said and done, we'll have an honest conversation about how truly great LeBron James is. But you saw the Netflix special when LeBron was like, until I see that person come and take my chair as the top guy, I'll let it happen. And that Lamborghini is here, and his name is Anthony Edwards, and he looked absolutely incredible last night. Again, same thing with the Knicks. Far be it from me to say this series is over, because with LeBron James and Luka Doncic on your team, and you're going back home to Los Angeles, this could easily go 6. And if you win in 6, anything could happen in a game 7. But man, this was still my pick as an upset in the first round. And Randall, Edwards, and just their entire team defensively has looked really, really good going into this first round of the playoffs.
Which team out of the West has the best chance at upsetting OKC?
Wow. I mean, so I like the matchup with the Clippers and the Thunder. If the Clippers get past Denver, and talk about another incredible finish yesterday. I mean, my God, that tip slam from Aaron Gordon shifted that
Which he
entire
says
momentum.
was not a pass.
Not a pass. It wasn't. It was funny enough. That was like the typical like Jokic BS 3 that he throws up that almost always goes in. And the one time it doesn't go in, it lands right in the hands of like a possible 3-time slam dunk champion. Like that's Jokic luck for you right there, right? But that being said, I really do like the way this Clippers team is built out, man. Norman Powell, with Kawhi Leonard out for the beginning of the year, really got to grow as a leader on that team. And, Kawhi Leonard is healthy and efficient and defensively looking just as good as he did in Toronto and San Antonio before him. And, James Harden, even though he didn't look great in the last game and the previous games before then, there's just something about James Harden that when he gets going offensively, he's just still so fun to watch out there. You partner that with the Oklahoma City Thunder and seeing how good they've been. Granted, the Memphis Grizzlies have, I didn't think they weren't going to give the Thunder a real competition anyway, even with the healthy Ja Morant. Just too many things that's happened between them in the end of the regular season. But I just like the way they match up against this Thunder team as far as the rest of the Western Conference is concerned, with those wings in Powell and Kawhi. James Harden, that still will be as dangerous as he was.
I just feel like this whole Clippers team has a chip on their shoulder. The X factor is Norman Powell, who was kind of my Alperon Şengün of the year, which Kaz knows he was with me.
Yes. Oh, you got me paid so hard off of Şengün.
Norman Powell was the same way for me this year for a while. I was riding over threes against bad perimeter defenses. He has been the difference for the Clippers this year. Then you've got Kawhi and James Harden, who every year everyone talks about how Kawhi can't stay on the floor. Harden in the playoffs is terrible. These players have a massive chip on their shoulder, and this, if there's any year for the Clippers, would be this one.
Yeah, the chip on the shoulder matched with the fact that I don't think anyone really gives them a legitimate shot to come out the West. I think these playoffs have been treated like the Oklahoma City Thunder Invitational so far, and it's like, all right, who's going to give this team the best shot at beating them? And when Kawhi is healthy and looking like he's had in this first round of the playoffs, I like their chances just as good as anybody. He's just so efficient, and just everything he gets is in the flow of the offense. Doesn't take away from Harden, doesn't take away from Powell. When you got a guy that can get you 30 points, shooting 70, 60% from the field, hitting, just downtown, just lights out, and could still lock up like that. And don't forget Zubac, who, gives you a nice paint presence against the Chet Holmgren or Isaiah Hartenstein, who's been great in the playoffs as well. I mean, I like the way the teams match up. I still kind of favor the Thunder to still come out the West, but if there's any team to pick to match up against them, it would be the Clippers.
Did you bet anything tonight, Kaz?
Oh, no, I literally just got in. I haven't even looked at my books yet. I haven't, but I do got my eyes on this Rockets-Warriors matchup because, I love me some emotional betting. The end of that game with Jalen Green and Draymond, the Green family, Jalen and Draymond, just going at each other, talking about fingernail painting. It's usually those games that gets Draymond up So I was like, let me look at some of these triple-double props. Let me see if there's a rebound assist prop I could take from Draymond Green, because he's
Jimmy Butler threw the scoop. Those Draymond Green rebounds plus assist props were my favorite. Over 14 and a half, over 15 and a half. Those are my favorite props.
Light
and Jimmy Butler ruined it. Graveyard, dead. I hate Jimmy Butler now because he ruined my Draymond Green rebound plus assist prop.
Yeah. I mean, hey, listen, Jimmy Butler is questionable right now. If I know him, I'm pretty sure he's going to suit up. But that little back and forth between him and Jalen Green at the end of the game last time, I always like taking a look at that. So I'm going to take a look at Draymond and those points, rebounds, assists against the Warriors tonight. And I want the Warriors to continue. I want the Warriors to win this series. So I'm going to bet them a little bit with my heart and figure we're going to get another insane Draymond Green post-game press conference where we're just like, how does this guy continue to be this productive at the highest level every year? This might be one of those games.
I'm a sucker for Draymond Green rebounds plus assists prop. Kaz, thank you so much for coming on. Where can everyone find all the shows that you're doing?
Oh, man, you can catch me on 7 p.m. in Brooklyn every Thursday, 1 p.m. on YouTube, everywhere you stream your podcast. We're also doing something during the playoffs called the 7 p.m. pregame, where me and Melo just talk about the games coming up that night, and we just sort of break them down. And, you know, we get his extreme expertise on what he sees in the game. So definitely check those out. If you're into pro wrestling, you catch me on the Ringer Wrestling Show on ringerwrestling.com. And yeah, man, little Fanatic Sportsbook stuff here and there and everything in between. I'm always around.
Love it. And then he's going to go to well, it's not the Carrier Dome anymore, but next year, you and Melo, you going to sit courtside for his son?
1,000,000% I will be there for Cayenne's first game this week on 7 p.m. in Brooklyn. Great episode this Thursday with J.R. Smith, one of the most highly requested episodes of the season so far. Me, Melo, and JR talking shop. Hopefully after a Knicks win. So be on the lookout for that one.
That would be awesome. Kazeem Famuyide, thank you so much for coming on. I'll speak to you again soon. Have fun tomorrow.
You too, Ariel. Take it easy.
So lucky. He gets to sit there and just like talk shop with Melo, and he's going to go to the game tomorrow at the Garden. Amazing. We've got a couple minutes left on the show, someone asked me about Polente before I get to Royal Locks. Who asked me about Polente from the newsletter this morning? I know someone did, but okay, I'm not going to waste my time talking about who asked it, but I will tell you. So from the newsletter today, I did mention Andre Polente over 3.5 Ks. The only reason I didn't say it again in the show is because of the juice. It was minus 145 this morning. I'm not sure if it's minus 150 now. I feel like I saw minus 150. So I felt bad to tell people to lay that much juice. I am staying off of that one. And now I'm just noticing that the newsletter had a little typo. Oy vey. So I'm going to stay off of it because of the juice. I'm just not in the mood to lay that much today. And he was kind of hit or miss. He had 6 against Boston, 1 against Atlanta. But the trend to know in that game is the Cincinnati Reds are averaging just over 5 strikeouts a game against righties. So that's a trend that you should definitely take a look at, because that number at 3.5 just feels too low against the Cincinnati Reds. That's why I liked the over 3.5 Ks. But Palente's numbers on the road aren't as great as at home. So that was ultimately what led me to stay off of it. Okay, I got my Royal Locks right here. Now we go to best bets of the day. I did not discuss the strikeout props yet. Royal Locks. Royal Locks of the day. I am very nervous about today, but we're just going to roll with it. So Ronel Blanco under 5.5 Ks is at plus 100. I just love the value here. I know that Blanco went over this against the Tigers last year, but here's the thing. The Tigers are not striking out as much as they did last year. The Tigers were averaging just over 5 strikeouts a game last year, and that's a full strikeout less this season. The Tigers have gone under their strikeout prop in 12 of the 19 games that they faced a righty starter. So 12 righty starters have gone under their strikeout prop out of the 19 to face the Tigers, averaging 4 strikeouts a game. So this season, Blanco has faced 3 low K rate teams. He had 3 against Minnesota, 1 against St. Louis, and 3 strikeouts against Toronto. Despite a great season last year, Blanco averaged just under 5 strikeouts a game, about 4.5 in the 10 starts he had against a low K rate team. So Ronel Blanco, good value at plus 100 under his Ks. As for Dodgers righty Dustin May, I like his over 5.5 Ks. I get nervous about him. I feel like he's burned me before. Yet this is a good spot where May's going to have to stay in the game. The Dodgers, their bullpen's pretty tired. They're going to have to throw a bullpen game tomorrow. They're going to need innings out of May. He has started in just 4 games so far this year, but 2 were against strikeout-prone lineups. He had 6 strikeouts against Atlanta, 7 against Colorado. May has had a 1.06 ERA in his first 3 starts prior to his last he had like 1 bad start against Chicago. Prior to that, 1.06 ERA in the starts before. 2-1 with a 1.08 ERA against Miami in 3 career starts. The games at home in LA. The Dodgers, they get this Marlins lineup that righties 11-8 over under their K prop, averaging just over 6 strikeouts a game against them. So go with the over. Dustin May, Ks. Now, I've gone over my time, but thank you everyone for joining here on the Prop Queen pod. I'm the Prop Queen, Ariel Epstein. We'll be back tomorrow, 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern time. Subscribe, please, to the YouTube page. Go check it out. There's like 1,100 of you in here, and I have 200 followers on YouTube. Go to the YouTube page at Prop Queen Sports. Give it a subscribe, please. And then subscribe to the newsletter if you would like to see the strikeout prop spreadsheet and some more of this stuff. So if you don't feel like watching the show every day, you could just get the newsletter and get all the props there. See you tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern time for happy hour. And thank you to my friend's dad for making me this. Love it.